7 onto this now. It's not something we have to imagine, but it's a reality for so many South Africans, particularly in Johannesburg, quite often. You turn on your tap, you are ready to begin your day, and nothing. Not a drop. For weeks now, families in Westbury, Coronationville, and other suburbs have lived this reality. It's a nightmare, really, even leading to clashes with police in protest. And it's nothing new. It's a crisis that was carved out by years of neglect. We've got pipes in Johannesburg, some of them more than a century old, all leaking. Nearly half of the city's water leaks underground. We were told yesterday in the reporting of the Sunday Times, more than 40 of Joburg's 83 reservoirs have some kind of damage or leak. 9 mayors in 6 years have passed the buck. The backlog for repairs is now sitting at over 30 billion rand. It's a small wonder then that the current mayor was booed at the theatre this weekend by frustrated residents who couldn't understand why he's busy watching performances when he should be dealing with this crisis. We thought we'd invite somebody who knows about why we find ourselves here. Dr. Ferrial Adam, water activist and Executive Director at WaterCAN. A very good morning to you and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to all your listeners, and thank you for having me on your show.
I mean, we know that Joburg's water woes are quite extensive because so many of us who are residents in Johannesburg from time to time are without water. But can you give us a broader picture? Why are we here? Why is a supposedly world-class African city having these issues?
I mean, I think you said very much the reason, and that is we've got about 10 years of neglect of our system. And you've already got an aging system, as you said. So if you've neglected it and have not spent the required amount on maintenance every year, then you've allowed it to rot, and that is what we're dealing with now.
So how bad is it?
Look, it's very concerning. I mean, I think the added challenge is the fact that they're still not allocating funding to enough funding for water and sanitation. So, you know, that they're still looking at raising funds for the whole city from water rates, waste, all of that to feed other parts of the city. And they haven't ring-fenced money for water and sanitation. So that's still a problem. In terms of how bad is it? Look, we have 12,000 kilometers of water pipes, 11,000 kilometers of sewage pipes. The city has only budgeted to fix about 14 kilometers a year of water pipes. At that rate, we're going nowhere slowly.
Sorry, Dr. Adams. I'm gonna ask you, Dr. Adam, to repeat that. We have just because I want to take that in.
About 12,000 kilometers of water pipes.
Right.
That need replacing or repair.
Yeah.
And we've only budgeted, this is the third year that they've budgeted, we've only been able to replace 14 to 17 kilometers a year.
Not 100.
No. I would like it that, but no.
Goodness me. And of course, we know with rapid urbanization and new settlements mushrooming up all over the place, we not only need to repair existing infrastructure, we need to take into account the growth of our city.
Absolutely. And the number of people. That's exactly it. They have not even. So when they talk about demand is high, well, the population has grown tremendously in the last 10 years in the city of Johannesburg. But there doesn't look like there was adequate planning for that. Think of how many new reservoirs have come up or new pipes have been put in. So it is a challenge, but I think it's not an insurmountable challenge.
Again, I still we'll get to the possible solutions,
Okay.
But because I think sometimes I know as a resident and certainly as a layperson, I don't always know why there's a burst pipe down my street, for example. And I assume maybe they're doing something, they're fixing something. We don't always know. And I think it's important for residents to understand exactly what it is we are faced with here. I mean, let's go to those reservoirs. We've got 83, from what I understand. 40 of them have some kind of damage. I mean, how extensive is this damage? Is it... I can't imagine a reservoir is supposed to have leaks.
So 20 of those are quite serious damage, serious leaks and cracks and damage that need to be fixed urgently. The other 22 or 23 on that list, they put it down to a longer term fix, right? But let me give you an example of some of those reservoirs that are on that list. Hurst Hill 1 in the Commando system, which feeds a large part of the Coronation Westbury
Yes.
Berea area. That reservoir has been on bypass for about 2 years because the crack is so bad that, and it's at the bottom, you can't fill it with water. So the water just is pumped around it towards those areas. The Hurst Hill 2 reservoir, which is the sister reservoir there and feeds areas like Emerentia, Greenside, I'm forgetting some of the areas, but that reservoir can only be filled to 0.9 meters, which is 40% of the reservoir. So at any point, there's only water that's like 40% full.
Of its capacity.
So there's no storage. If anything goes, that's why we've been in this, if there's any maintenance, any shutdowns, there's no ability for the reservoirs to actually sustain us or withstand that maintenance.
So we've got the mayor expected to brief the media today.
Yeah.
What is he going to say?
I don't know. He's probably going to say that they've increased the water tanks to Coronation, which people on the ground, they've seen some, but some areas have still lacking. He's going to say that there's water flowing in the pipes, and I've been hearing that here and there's a little bit of water coming in, but then it goes. So it's not a sustainable supply where you should have in your taps a normal, good supply of water. People are still nervous, people are still like, when is this? And they don't have water again today. Yeah. So I really don't know what he's going to say because his 7-day promise ends on Wednesday.
Dr. Adam, is it your view, as some have suggested, that the neglect has been deliberate? It may have been incompetence before, or perhaps not prioritizing, but certainly now it is deliberate neglect, so that people connected to officials and politicians can win tenders to supply water through these water tanks and score a quick buck from the system. Is that something that makes sense to you?
It's very plausible. I don't think that could be happening, right? I don't have the proof. But let's be honest, there is a water mafia. It comes in different forms. It's in different, whether it's water tankers, whether it's putting up JoJo tanks, whether it's working on pipes or reservoirs. They're there. The construction mafia, the water tanker mafia, we have that. And it's plausible that could be some of it. But I think on this issue, it's a combination of that, but also I think for me, it's the lack of political will to actually act and do the things that need to be done. And also, as I've said before, the city of Joburg holds the purse strings. So it may give a budget to Joburg Water, but at a whim, they take that money back into their account to actually be cash flush or to move it around in different parts of the city, like whether it's for roads or whatever. And that's what's strangleholding getting things fixed. The Brixton Reservoir, the new one, was supposed to be completed in April, May this year. It's still not completed, and it seems that the estimated completion time now may be December if contractors get paid on time. Because if they don't, they down tools again, and then that gets prolonged. And that's also part of the issue, is that these projects that are there are good projects that need to happen. But the longer they prolong, the longer we will be in the situation we're in right now.
You said earlier this is not insurmountable. Doesn't sound like it's certainly going to have a solution anytime soon.
No, I'm not going to give you a 7-day solution. That 7 days is not good solution.
That's nonsense. Yeah.
So if we put the money there, if the city says, okay, these are the key projects that need to happen and they need to start now, we're looking at 2 to 3 years of a little bit of instability, but then I think the system would start stabilizing. It does not mean it will be 100%. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But there are some small key things like making sure that the Brixton Reservoir is built, the tower is built and completed, and adding an additional Crosby pump station, fixing the reservoirs that you've mentioned. There's 20 that need urgent attention. They cannot do those 20 in the 2 to 3 years, but they've selected 5 key ones. Some of them are on the east of Joburg, because they're also having problems in Region F, and some of them are a commando system like the Hurst Hill 2. Put your efforts into that, and if you fix that, those are the short-term plans that Joburg Water has submitted to the Presidential Working Group. Then I think we'd have a working system in 2 to 3 years. But until then, we're going to see a lot of this all the time.
And we're going to hear more promises and more promises and more promises from the mayor, no doubt, a little later on today. Dr. Ferrial Adam, appreciate your time, water activist and executive director at WaterCAN. So do take whatever you're going to hear from officials today with a pinch of salt, I think. And if ever there was an indication that the people who are running this city are not quite up to the task, I'm not sure you're going to find another one.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.